Hi everyone, so Season 6 has been out for a little while and I keep getting the same questions over and over. How do I find this? Where do I get that? So I made a little compilation for you so that you can just have everything in one place and all of your questions answered. So let's get into it. So I have this list here of how to farm stuff. I will also link this down in the description if you want to look this up. Just a little cheat sheet that I made here about where do you get all your things that you may be looking for. So let's start. We have herbs, iron chunks, rawhide, all these like basic materials. They generally all drop from whispers. In the past, they used to be very easily acquirable from Legion events. That is no longer a thing. Whisper caches, however, do drop a lot of this stuff. So if you farm, for example, Helltide or like any other whispers, then you get a bunch. Herbs also seem to drop more from bosses. They just like pot them out sometimes. So that's pretty nice. Iron chunks and rawhide has become kind of like a really important resource here for masterworking in particular, so people keep running out of those, especially now that Forgotten Souls drops have been buffed. These seem to be some more of the bottlenecks. In that case, it's just salvage, and especially from boss rotas you can get a lot of salvage. So you just pick up all the items, including the yellows, whenever they drop, and you just salvage it all, and it kind of like ramps up over time. There's not really another really good way of finding iron chunks and rawhide, in my opinion. Yeah, some people use Subo and then walk around with the map hack of the follower and just click on ore veins outdoors or something like that, but I really do not recommend that. It is a very inefficient way of doing anything in this game, I think. So just focus on salvage, especially if you do boss rotas, you can get a lot of this stuff. In like 4 or 5 kills, you can fill your entire inventory, and usually there's like a handful or more of those ancestral uniques. Each ancestral unique gives you 30 of, I know, iron chunks and rawhides and whatever, and the materials that they give. So that's quite a lot, and you can get a few hundred in like 2 minutes or something like that. So this is really where I get most of mine, at least, and I have like 40,000 or something of iron chunks. Good thing is also you get a lot of boss mats these days with the Opals and just like Kuras Undercity, tributes. You get so many boss mats these days. It's very easy to sustain boss rotations, so I would really recommend to focus on those. Then we have Opticide. This also has become kind of like a big thing now. Right now there's an exploit in Infernal Hordes. I do not recommend to use that because Monka TOS, but Nightmare Dungeons are the best way of farming Opticide. You get like 1000 plus or so per run when you full clear a dungeon, so it's pretty solid. You can do like a 2-3 minutes run, get 1000 Opticide. And in probably like 2-3 hours or so, you can farm enough Opticide to manage an entire character from 0 to 12. So that's not really so bad for masterworking. And otherwise, Hordes is a thing. You can farm Infernal Hordes, but that is also, yeah, just worse than Nightmare Dungeons, especially if the exploit is fixed. Then we have Forgotten Souls. This used to be a bigger problem, but now it's not really anymore because they omega buffed the drop rates. But if you need souls, Helltide is the way. All the Helltide chests give you 10. Every boss gives you 10, especially like here, boss rotations, for example. So let's do that. Then we have tributes. So people always ask me what to do with tributes and what about Undercity in general. Well, number one, I would never run Undercity if I don't have a tribute. Yeah, maybe like, when you're like level 30 or so, you can do that a little bit. But in the end game, you don't really get all that much out of it. So always have something going at least, and then you get a bit of a reward there, because otherwise you do like a 5-minute run or something and you get like 4 items at the end, and that's almost about it. So it's not really great without the tributes. There are certain tributes that drop from certain places that this might not be a full list here, but this is just what I found. So the runes tributes drops in the pit. Another thing about the runes tribute is I don't think it can give you legendary runes, or at least its chances are very low. So it's not really that great, but if you need like a rare rune or like a magic rune, you can run pits, get the tributes, run Kuras. Then we have the legendary and the uniques tributes. They also drop from whispers and from world bosses apparently. There's also like this one unique tribute that also has a chance for mythic uniques. So that's also really good if you find that. You want to also share this with other people maybe, because that's a really rare one and pretty good one. And you have the boss mats tribute, which actually also drops from bosses. So you can kind of sustain those rotas as I mentioned earlier. You farm foreman, bosses, you find those tributes, you run Kuras together, everyone gets more boss materials, you go back to bosses. It's kind of crazy. So you can just like go ham on, mythic farming, unique farming, get all the salvage stuff, it's really good. Then we have items in general. So we have all this stuff here. So for aspects, if you're looking for just like getting the right power for your build in order to, you know, have your build functional, then usually Obols and bartering is the way. There are also these caches at the blacksmith, but they're extremely costly even if you're twinking. So I would not recommend doing those at all. But you just try to get Obols and use your mercenaries. So this is really the way here. Uniques, you can try to gamble for those or do boss rotas. You have the boss loot cheat sheet here, so you can go check that out. We have everything listed where, you know, each item drops from any boss. So you can just kind of reference this here. This is the boss loot cheat sheet that you can find on Maxroll in the resource menu. So this is very nice, but otherwise you can also gamble for them. Yeah, uniques are very common when you gamble with Obols, and when you do like a 2000 Obol, you know, gamble session or something at the vendor, you get probably every unique at least once or something in that slot, depending on, of course, like how crowded the slot is. So for Spiritborn, they have like, you know, 7 different rings or something. Maybe it's a bit tough, but for example, for quarter stuff on a Spiritborn, there's only 2 choices. And in those cases, it is very easy to get some uniques that you need for your build. Then we have mythics, mostly just boss rota spamming. You can do the rune crafting, but this is very expensive. So I'm at the point after like blasting the game like all day, every day for like, I don't know, 5 days straight now. I can kind of craft every unique once if I had the sparks. Right now I don't have the sparks to do that. But yeah, you need to do a lot of bosses for those runes, and then you can also get the mythics, and then you can salvage those mythics, and then you can craft something. So that depends a little bit on the build. Some builds need more or less mythics. Some builds don't need any mythics at all, especially on the Spiritborn. There are a bunch of builds that don't really go for any. So that's kind of helpful. But yeah, boss rotas is really the way. And they have severely nerfed the drop rates. So even on Torment 4, when you farm like the bosses, you don't really get mythics that often. It seems like way more rare than in the past. I would say it's something like of a third or so of the drop rates that we used to have. So just keep that in mind. And runes are just extremely expensive. I guess especially in the softcore economy, I hear crazy things about prices for runes. So really, you probably have to go and either decide on like this one mythic that you really want to craft and invest all of your gold into getting those runes, or you just like go ham on boss rotas, eventually have those runes, and maybe trade for like 1 or 2 or something. Then we have ancestrals. People ask me, how do you get those? Well, you play the video game. I guess maybe slightly better than normal is Infernal Hordes for this, but yeah, they just happen, so you can't do much about it. Runes. So there are 2 ways to farm runes: magic and rare in Enquiries with the tribute, and rare and legendary from boss rotas. So boss rotas are really good. I have not tried to do like below Torment 4 bosses, so I'm not really sure how the drop rates are, or like, you know, if you find legendary runes very often there. But in Torment 4 boss rotations, you get a lot of runes. So even legendary, like I can walk out with like a legendary rune every 5 kills or something like that. They're very common there, and they don't really appear anywhere else. So this is really the only way here. Then we have boss materials. So where do you get which boss? Living Steel is in Helltide. Hearts is also in Helltide from the Whispers. Blood is kind of in Helltide from the Blood Maiden. Fear is on Nightmare Dungeons. And all of them can also randomly drop from elites, events, opals, and tributes. So realistically, the way I acquire most of my boss rotations is I just do the Helltide Whispers pretty regularly. So whenever, you know, new Helltide spawns, I go there for 5 minutes, I do the Maiden, I open some chests, I kill a Hellborn, and I usually walk away with 1 Whisper Cache, a bunch of steel, and whatever else drops on the way. So other than that, yeah, Fear, if you want to farm Beast, Nightmare Dungeons is kind of important for the Opal side anyway, so you get a lot of stuff here. And I know on softcore at least, people do Blood Maiden spam, which is relatively efficient as well. On hardcore, this is not a thing at all, so I don't really know how good this is, but it is probably pretty good if you can just like spam Blood Maiden, like, you know, non-stop and insta-kill her. You get bloods all the time. So this is kind of like how you get all this stuff. And especially the opals are really good this season, because there's like this boss material opal. This is the best one that you always want to run. So you get extra boss materials whenever you kill stuff. It's very easy to like sustain all of your materials. Speaking of opals, always people ask me when should you use which opal and stuff like that. So the way that I do this is I use the good one, which is the boss material one, whenever I farm something that can drop loot, like Helltides or Nightmare Dungeons. Monsters actually drop loot. And like, for example, Pit and Hordes, there is no loot from the bosses. So you don't get anything from those opals besides the XP buff. So in that case, I would always use the bad ones, like the gold and the materials and these kind of things in, for example, the pit. And then the good one, whenever you get them, I would use them whenever you don't farm the pit, for example. And then we have glyphs. So how do you get glyphs? Yeah, I think they drop mostly from whisper caches, bosses sometimes, and the pit. Kind of similar for the temper manuals. There's also curas on the city that I was farming in the early game. So I was just like blasting on the city for like 2 hours with all of my tributes, and I just kept getting manual. That was kind of nice. So I'm not sure if it has a higher drop rate or something, but that is pretty good. But otherwise, similar stuff here. Whispers, bosses, Helltide chest as well. We have gold. So the best way to do this is to trade folk items, especially on softcore. The prices are ridiculously high for everything because there's a lot of botting and RMT, and this like drives up the inflation. So if you find one good drop and you sell it, then you're basically golden for the entire season. So that's just how the game works. It kind of sucks, but this is softcore. And otherwise, boss rotas. So the way that I found to make gold, I have gotten up to like after 1 billion gold at this point after blasting for quite a while. So I still have to be careful with my gold. If I start masterworking and so on, it can disappear very fast. But boss rotas, you vendor the normal uniques and then you salvage the ancestral uniques. So this is what I described earlier. For salvage materials, the ancestrals are really good. They're times 10 the amount of materials that you get, but they don't really sell for more gold to the vendors. So basically I just mark everything that's not ancestral, sell it, and then I go to the blacksmith and then I salvage all that is left with the button. So that's kind of the way to do this, and you get a lot of gold. Like in like 1 hour of boss rotations, I can get like, I don't know, 200 million gold or something like that. It's actually really effective. And then we have Whispers and Infernal Hordes. You can also get gold there. There's a gold chest in Hordes and there's the Whispers. It's kind of like a less efficient way of getting gold. Boss rotas in general are just really good these days. Then you have the Retempering Scroll if you care about that. Infernal Hordes, you can get like a lot of them if you just open the chest sometimes. Experience, how do you farm Paragons? I would also say Infernal Hordes for most people. Pit might win on the very high end. So when you get to the point where you like speed farm, like 2 minutes tier 90s or 2 minutes tier 100s even, or something like that. This is basically Spiritborn S tier build exclusive, but it is very good as well. I have not really pinpointed exactly which one is better yet, but both of them are pretty effective and significantly better than anything else for experience. And then we have Opals. You have to do Realm Walkers. There's not really a way around it. At the start of the season, you get like a few for free from like Season Journey and stuff, but those will run out and then you have to go log in, do a Realm Walker, you get 3 opals. The one that you want to choose is the one with boss materials. Everything else is kind of irrelevant, and this is it. And lastly, Obols. How do you get those the best? You can do side events, but really it's the pit. So if you want to like target farm something and you need that one slot, they have this one bad item, then you just go pit and speed farm like something that you can do really fast. You get like a few hundred Obols, and you know, every half hour you gamble like an inventory of stuff, and this is how you get your target farming. And that's it. So there's like some more currencies and stuff, but they're not really such a concern, I think, like Citadel coins or red dust or something. Well, you get them from the Citadel, you get them from the PvP. They have like this one source, so I didn't really mention them now. But this is how to farm everything in Season 6. Lastly, what do you do with all those items that you may find on the way that you don't really need? Well, you can try to sell them, and this is where the Crimson Market comes in. I have been partnered with them for a long time already, and I have sold my items, for example, to pretty decent success, even on hardcore, where there's usually not that much trading going on. So I want to show this off real quick here. This is the crimsonmarket.com. I can also link this down in the description. And here they have this search overview. And they have this magic search where you type, for example, just an aspect name or an item name or a stat that you want with a certain range. So for example, if you type like smiting ring now, you can see this one here on the bottom right. Then it will show up with this one. So you can just kind of like combine certain searches and it will appear like anything that has this ring, like this aspect, for example, or it is a ring with this aspect. Or you can also type, for example, life ring, or you can type crit chance or something like that. So it's very simple. You don't have to use a lot of filters and it works pretty well. Listing items is also equally easy. So you just kind of take a screenshot or copy paste like a snippet back into the browser here, and this will list the item for you. You just set a price, and this is it. They also have this in-game overlay that is called a Crimson Market Compendium that has gotten some pretty big updates lately. This is on the Overwolf, it's an app, and you can list items directly like that from the game. So it has this little pop-up here of a window, and then you can just set a price and so on, and this is it. And this will automatically sync to the site. In addition, they have a Discord bot that actually is synced to many different Discord servers in the Diablo community. So I want to show this off real quick. So if we go here, for example, on my Discord, I have them as well. This is here in the default trade section. So you can just kind of see all these different categories here: season, hardcore, season, softcore, and so on. And you can trade for all these different item types here. And this is all synchronized with the website. So you can go, for example, here on the channels and roles, and then select the trading channels that you're looking for, or just show all channels. And every time someone messages you for an item, you'll get a message directly from the Crimson Market broker bot. So this is pretty nice, and you never miss a trade. Lastly, I want to draw some attention to their next giveaway. They do regular, pretty big giveaways, so I'm going to show this real quick. These are some of the past PC giveaways that I have been doing, for example. So they kind of build some custom PCs and then have like a giveaway between their loyalty club, which are basically subscribers to their website. And they usually have really good chances because there's not actually that many people. So my favorite here is the Crimson Clock. This was from last Epoch launch. They built like this Crimson Clock PC. It was really awesome. And we have this overview here when you go on a club join. I'll also link that in the description. So they're giving away a Starforge PC here, the Starforge Azure only this time, with these specifications. And the way to enter is to get the golden ticket. So this is their free ticket that you can use to try to enter that giveaway. So you can get 30 days rolled here for free, which is one of their subscriber tiers basically. And you don't have to like have a minimum subscription length or something like that. You can cancel it immediately if you want. But they're basically trying to give something back for their community that is supporting them. And this will be given away in 12 days on Rax's stream. So usually it's between Rax and me doing the giveaway for them. We just pull the winner basically. And this will be on October 26th. So if you want to check that out, then you have actually pretty good chances. So a big shout out to the Crimson Market. Thank you guys for sponsoring this video as well. And this is also the conclusion of how to farm everything in Season 6. So I hope this helps you. I wish you good luck with the rest of the season. Go check out the Crimson Market if you want to have a chance for the giveaway or trade your items, for example. And with that, have a good one. See you guys next time.